Welcome back, unqualified sports fans. Another big week in the sporting world. Once again, we're hitting the NFL, NBA, and MLB in episode 3 of Unqualified Sports Talk. We're going to begin things like we usually do with the NFL. We're going to jump right into the quarterback carousel and talking about the Raiders quarterbacks, Marcus Mariota and Derek Carr. Carson, start us off. Let's talk a little bit about Marcus Mariota.
Well, Marcus Ardell Talaniu Mariota.
That's not
Is
real.
he is he in 2021 going to be a starting NFL quarterback? That's the big question. I know there's been a lot of talk about him going to New England.
Mhm.
You know,
He's actually the betting
Chicago,
favorite to be New England starting quarterback next year,
yeah,
which is
which
interesting.
is wild. It's very interesting. Chicago definitely wants another quarterback like Mariota, someone who can't forcibly take the job to give them more controversy. Um, he's still young, but he threw less than 30 passes last year, 28 attempts, and had a
That was
touchdown
in
and
one game.
interception. Yeah. So do you really think after being a middling starter, he wasn't great. He
Not
was
at
bad
all.
enough to get benched, but he showed flashes. He caught his own touchdown pass, which is really good for fantasy players.
which is amazing.
Yeah. But he's never wowed, which is the problem. And I think that's the problem with a lot of guys who come in and they're good, they win, but they you never win because of them, and he's one of those guys.
Yeah, I could honestly see him, being a journeyman for his career. We think of Alex Smith, Ryan Fitzpatrick type people. I think he
Hmm.
does have some sort of like qualities that might put him above those people. It's just, he was stuck on a mediocre Tennessee team that was ended up being carried by Derrick Henry. And then uh, flash forward a couple years, he's on the Raiders. He has one game. I mean, he's never
Yeah.
started all 16 games in a season before, which does, create a little bit of doubt in your mind because you don't know if he's gonna be if he's gonna be out in the field every game. Um, I mean, no major injuries or anything, but
Hmm.
it's gonna be interesting to see where he ends up. I don't see a problem with him going to New England. I just don't know what basis that's going off of because you never know what Bill Belichick's gonna do.
Yeah.
So I
No.
think I I think it's interesting that, he's the betting favorite to start there week 1 just because there's no basis for that. But at this point, it's hard for me to even guess where he's gonna go. I like what you said, Carson, about Chicago. I think, heck, he could end up in Washington. I think he could end up anywhere who needs, a decent quarterback to step in and
Yeah.
possibly win a couple games. So,
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I
and
think. Oh,
$11
you got it,
million
Austin.
dollars is not bad, like to take a chance on someone, especially if you're
oh,
one
not
of
at
those
all.
teams that really does not have a pick like the Patriots and doesn't have a quarterback like the Patriots.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
the
for
incentive,
a lot of these quarterbacks are looking for about 20 million a year. So 11 is almost a steal
Hmm.
for a starting quarterback.
yeah, which is
Oh, it
what
is a steal.
like 20 or so the incentive issue with him though is that if he starts X amount of games, I can't remember how many it is, he gets another 11 million on top of
Mm,
his current 11 million. So,
Yeah.
assuming he can play, I'll just say 10 games cuz I don't know how many games it actually is. Assuming he can
mhm.
start 10 games, he goes from an $11 million quarterback to a $22 million quarterback. And I don't know if someone eating up 22 million of your cap because you have to prepare for it to be 22 million is worth going
Mhm.
5 and 11, 6 and 10, you know? So,
But it all does depend where he ends up.
true.
A team like Washington, he's gonna get carried by that defense. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, he was NFL comeback player of the year, Alex Smith, but he was bad. Bad
Hmm.
Alex Smith compared to Mariota, that's a huge upgrade. They could win some more games because of that too. Be it 9-win team and easily make the playoffs in that division. I mean, no one's gonna argue with that. That's a win in my book for 22 a year.
Yeah, and quick note on the salary is at $11 million, he would be 19th in salary. But if it was doubled to 22 million, he would still only be 17th,
That's a
right
huge gap.
behind your guy Alex Smith. But
But
I
but
definitely think if you find your guy, it doesn't matter how much you pay him, and 22 million is nothing compared to 15 years, 800 million, whatever Patrick
right,
Mahomes is making. Obviously, it's comparable entirely.
Yeah, literally $1 trillion. It feels like.
it
Yeah,
does.
and you got to think, he was in Tennessee with Tannehill. Could he be another Tannehill type guy who just needs a change of scenery, maybe a better system, and
Mm-hmm.
then he's getting all this praise that Tannehill is suddenly getting that he never earned in Miami.
I mean, it wasn't deserving in Miami.
Yeah, exactly. He was never in the right situation to be able to win games, to be able to get to the playoffs, succeed, and then have good seasons.
Do any of y'all have any bold predictions for where he's going to go? Or are you in the same boat as me? Like, it could literally be anywhere.
I think it's hard to predict without another domino falling first.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like we've still seen so little happen with this wild quarterback market that hasn't
I mean, what they're
really.
saying there's potential for 17 quarterback changes this
Yeah,
offseason.
exactly. And I think that domino could be someone like rescinding a trade request, like someone saying I'm going to stay put
Hmm.
rather than someone being traded actually. But as soon as we get a little bit of closure with a couple of teams, I think some of these guys like Mariota or his own teammate may be moved, may not be moved, but teams are just waiting. It's a waiting game right now.
Yeah. My bold prediction landing spot, one that I think would be kind of interesting is you put him in that Ravens wacky college offense
Yeah.
and you just let him go back to Oregon and you just ride it there.
I don't think he wants to be a backup though, right?
Oh no, I mean, who would want to be backup?
Well,
But
Mhm.
they're
I think in that system he could make he personally, I think I would rather have Mariota throwing the ball than Lamar Jackson 9 times out of 10, and I think he could maybe
Because
prove
Lamar's a running
himself
back.
there. Yeah, yeah, exactly. So I think that's my bold prediction. I don't think it can happen based on cap, but I think it'd be interesting, and I would love for
It
anyone to
would.
take Lamar Jackson's job. So
Oh
his
man,
job
but
as a running back.
his job was a running back. But there's two sides to the coin with this Raiders team. Marcus Mariota being one side of it, and Derek Carr being the other side of the coin. So Derek Carr's been the starting quarterback, which seems like forever now in Oakland
Mm-hmm.
/ Los Angeles / Las Vegas. But can Derek Carr actually win? I know we've seen glimpses of it before, but is he the quarterback for the Raiders?
he might be the quarterback, but I'm not going to push to say that that's a good thing for the Raiders.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I just don't think that Derek Carr, whenever you look at the other talent at that position in the NFL, you can list him in the top 15, which if he's not 14, he's not a playoff quarterback, right? So
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I just he came off of his best season of his career this past year. For the most part, the touchdowns were a little bit down, but the interceptions were also way down too, and they went 8-8. And it's like
Yeah.
we always talk about winning is what's more important than putting up stats, and this year they just didn't win, and he put on his best show. And this next year, bold prediction incoming, hot take, he's not even going to be
Hot
the
take alert.
second best quarterback in his division behind Mahomes. That's going to be Justin Herbert. That's
Yeah,
going to be
it's okay,
Justin
buddy.
Herbert.
Yeah, but you didn't even think about Drew Lock.
Yeah, but Drew Lock, he should honestly retire and just start rapping. He rapped a song
We're gonna
so
have
well, he didn't even know what the name of it was.
I don't know what that
That's
means, but
impressive. I don't
but
have a.
that's
I can't even guess what that
no,
means.
He
not
rapped a
even
Hey,
me.
song he didn't
congratulations,
even
Drew Lock,
know
being
is
a
what that means.
Oh, so you mean that's freestyle
Wow.
rapping?
No,
Or
but
is
it
he
was an
trying to rap?
actual song.
It was
Okay.
playing. He just somehow knew the words
Yes.
because
Watch the
breaking
17-second
news
YouTube
on
video.
Unqualified Sports Talk. Drew Lock is now a rapper.
Yes. Congratulations, Drew Lock.
Congratulations, Drew Lock.
Lil
But with Derek,
Locky.
But with Derek Carr, I think can we classify him as a journeyman now that they've moved from Oakland to LA to LV?
Yes.
Is he a journeyman
I'll
quarterback?
cast
He's a
my
journeyman
vote for
quarterback.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's a journeyman quarterback. He's improved, but has he? Like that's how it feels with Derek Carr. He's still not even 30 years old. He will be by the time the season starts, but as we're sitting right now, he's 29 years old, and it feels like he's been in the league for forever, and it feels like he
Yeah.
hasn't been good at all ever.
Yeah.
But
Well,
he's thrown for 4,000 yards each of the past 3 years, and he's improved his touchdown to interception ratio every single year. And at the end of the day, when you're sitting down looking at the stats at the end of the season, what else can you ask for other than more wins, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
And that comes
obviously that's
down
the
to the
goal.
fact that they're, other than three positions, have very, very, very little talent. They've drafted defensive line and offensive line and spent some money in offensive line, and they have a couple cornerstones, but honestly, that defense does not look young, does not look like it has a lot of strong talent. And I think if they draft well and if they go out and get him somebody to throw to, you might see a bigger year out of Derek Carr, and maybe
Mm-hmm.
they can pay him and keep him around into his mid 30s. And I
Yeah,
really hope so for his sake.
I'm gonna build off that a little bit, Carson. I do think that Derek Carr can win games historically. I mean,
Hmm.
after that 2016 season, where they were the 2 seed in the AFC, which is
Yeah.
really maybe it was 3 seed. But anyway, it was crazy. Okay, no one would expect Oakland/LA/Vegas to be in that position. But that one year, 2016, he had the most touchdowns in his career. He had the most yards per game in his career. 2016. You know what the biggest difference between 2016 Derek Carr and this Derek Carr is?
And what's that?
Amari Cooper. He had someone to throw to, Carson, like you were saying. He needs some. Okay, Henry Ruggs is going to be a stud muffin, but he's no Amari Cooper. Get him
Yeah.
somebody to throw to. I mean,
Michael Thomas?
that could actually work. That would be
Yeah.
interesting. But I
Would
mean,
be.
he looked great 2016. The only reason they lost that playoff game is because he got hurt, which has been the story of Derek Carr's life up to this point. After that was injuries. You mean the groin injury this year that was nagging? He keeps on seeing like nagging injuries to him. If he can get healthy, he can get a receiver. I think he can win games, and I think that'd be interesting to see if he could get back to that prime Derek Carr spot where he was in 2016 when he had Amari Cooper, Khalil Mack. Obviously, there's no
Yeah.
Khalil Mack on that defense, but if they build that up, if they build that receiving core up, I think Derek Carr can win some freaking games.
Yeah, and of course, we want nothing but success from him, and hopefully they can learn how to draft and give John Gruden something to work with.
Because he's a beast. Carr
About
and
as good as
Gruden,
it gets.
Yeah, but
dynamic.
the only person in this world that's probably more manly than John Gruden and more of a threat to just like eat someone alive on the field is Ben Roethlisberger. We know it. He's been through like
Okay.
45 motorcycle accidents in his life and lived.
At least, yeah.
The man should be cage fighting. Roethlisberger, Vandera, next fight.
That's
what
what
we
Sign
need to
us
see.
up. Jared the Mountain versus Big Ben Roethlisberger.
He would probably have the best takedown defense in UFC history because he actually cannot get taken down. He can't get
That's
taken
so
down
true.
by guys sprinting full speed at him when they have the full field. Do you think you give him a little octagon, they're going to be able to take him down? No, not a chance.
Not in the world.
Not a chance to get Big Ben down. Your only chance to get him down is if he voluntarily gets down and voluntarily retires.
Do you
And
do you
is he
think
going
he
to do
will?
it? I think he will.
You think he's
My
gone?
take is that it's only a matter of time at this point.
I thought he said that he'd like to come back.
He has a bunch. Like it feels like every day for the past 2 weeks.
But Carson, you think
Yeah,
that Pouncey retiring sent him overboard?
I think that Pouncey retiring with him being one of the strongest points of that offense for the past 10 years
Mm-hmm.
is going, and one of Big Ben's best friends on the team. I think that's just going to be another thing adding to the retiring,
I mean,
especially considering how they looked after their 11-0 start.
Yeah, terrible. But I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if that happens, I don't think. But I don't know if I expect him to retire. I think the Steelers, do try to bring him back. I think Big Ben does still want to play, but he's going to have to come cheaper than he is. They're going to have to rework that contract because what the money he's going to be getting, he's not worth it all. It doesn't matter that he's won you 2 Super Bowls because he's
Yeah,
bad. Well, not bad. He's he's just
he's a
there. He's
shell.
just yeah. I mean, it's Big Ben. Yeah, big name, but like you said, he's a shell of what he was. He's decent. They were running that 3 and out, those crossing routes all season.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't have an arm anymore, but he's still serviceable. He's been there, done that a million times. So get him cheap. That's the only way I think you keep him around.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
and
it's
with that
41
defense.
million. Oh, go ahead, Carson. Go ahead.
Well, I
Because
was just saying, like with that defense, he doesn't have to be the old Big Ben.
No, he doesn't.
yeah,
$41 million though, Austin.
yeah,
Heck no.
41
Absolutely.
million, and the best they can get it to, from everything that I have seen and all the research that I've done, is 27 million. That's the best that they can get it down to.
Gosh.
So, I mean, you're talking 27 million for someone that's just not Tom Brady and not Drew Brees and not Matt Ryan, right? Like,
Hmm.
he's just not those guys. He hasn't aged like those guys, or not Aaron Rodgers. He's just like Bryce said. Their offense was completely built around him not being able to make those deep throws anymore, and those throws that have to come out super hot.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe he comes back and has one more year and works super hard in the off season and is in the best shape of his 35-year-old plus life, and he makes a shaky offense past 11-0 look good again. But
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
it I don't see it. And if I'm the Steelers, I'm not pursuing this.
But you do have to look though at everything Big Ben's done. Do you give
Sure.
him one more season as kind of a farewell for $27 million?
Oh well, absolutely. I mean,
That's what I think too.
he has more than earned the right to decide when he is done.
I think
Like
if
the
you can get
steel,
him for less than 30, keep him, give him a farewell tour. I mean, with that offense, I mean, Juju's gone. Not a ton of optimism surrounding that offense. Like, just keep him around. He'll be serviceable. I mean,
yeah,
what you're gonna go get someone at 26 in the draft, a quarterback, and expect him to be a game changer day one? No.
Yeah, they're
no,
honestly
I
kind of
mean,
stuck with him, right? Like,
Mhm.
what team in
Unless
the
they
NFL
unless they
wants
pursue
him?
somebody in free agency or trading,
Yeah.
but I don't foresee that
But
happening at all.
but
They don't really
what
have the assets.
what team are they going to dump 27 million on for a quarterback that's probably not going to be the difference maker to get you to a championship?
Right.
I mean, I think they're kind of stuck with him either way, unless he retires, of
mhm.
course. But
Then Mason Rudolph or Josh Dobbs. That's what I
Yeah.
want.
When those are your other options, Big Ben looks a lot better
bring back the
than he
duck.
has actually looked.
Bring
Yeah,
back Delvin. Is he on their practice squad? He probably is.
I'm sure he is. Yeah,
I don't know.
but Big Ben, we don't really know. We don't think that he knows, even though he's made multiple statements saying that he's going to play. He's also made multiple statements saying that he was deciding. I think that he's going to retire, but without a running game, he's going to have to come out and throw the ball, and we'll see if he wants to do that. We'll see if he wants to commit to a 40-week season, including the off season. See if he wants just one more go at it. see what that defense can do. Maybe you'll have a Peyton Manning send off. Who knows?
Super Bowl.
Peyton Manning Super Bowl send off.
Yeah.
But
And half the
that'll
season
do
is
it for
Brock
our
Osweiler.
yeah. Half the season is you know, Brock. We know his nickname. To come in and literally spoon feed you to the playoffs. Big Ben needs somebody like that, and hey, watch it be Cam Newton.
Maybe it is Cam Newton, but it won't
But
be.
that's my prediction. But that's enough for the NFL for this week because we're
Or
still
we
in
could
the
talk
off
about
season.
Russell Wilson.
Russell Wilson. What happened with Russell Wilson today, Bryce? Tell us about it.
Well, reports came out saying that, he would be fine getting traded to, like 4 teams? I don't remember what they are exactly. I know Cowboys was one of them.
Cowboys, Bears, Saints,
Raiders.
Raiders.
Raiders. That's it. That's the 4. But then I later saw reports saying he's not asking for a trade. Rather, if a trade were to happen, those are his preferred destinations. So that kind of makes you wonder, are the Seahawks looking to deal Russell Wilson for a minimum of 3 first-round picks? Is also what I've seen. That would be crazy.
Yeah.
That would shake up the NFL landscape like no tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
And
talk about pushing all the dominoes down. Definitely do it.
That would be crazy. I don't think the Saints really have a chance at him just because of that cap space issue.
Yeah,
what?
$50 million in the red.
Yeah.
Yeah, $50 million in the red.
Drew Brees is supposedly coming back now.
He's coming back. That's
news.
He is not included in the $50 million.
He's not. That would skyrocket that even
But
more.
no,
They're gonna have to
there was something. I'll have to go back and look. But there was something about him, if he is going to play again, taking the veteran minimum.
Okay.
So.
What's still probably a few million, right?
Yeah, I think it's like
not
3 or 4.
But if he does come back and say it's not the veteran minimum, you get rid of like Michael Thomas for like a second rounder, right? I mean, you have to do something with that money, and people knowing that you have to get rid of people aren't going to give you their full value for it.
Yeah, well, you have to do whatever you can, and there's only so many things that they can do other than getting rid of players.
Yeah.
There's only so many structuring of contracts that you can do, only so many extensions, and only so many times you can trade these like little guys that are going to save you $5 and $6 million for whatever reason.
Yeah, I think the Saints are in a dark place right now, and Russell Wilson, in my opinion, is not part of their future. The Cowboys would be very interesting.
Yeah, talking about forcing the hand, especially that of Jerry. And then we would know how he actually felt about Dak this whole time.
Yeah, True. But if that happens, then a whole new conversation about Dak emerges. What's his deal going to be?
Dak goes
Where's
to
he
the
going?
Seahawks.
Dak goes to the They sign his contract. It's a sign and trade.
He wouldn't put himself in that situation, though.
No, he wouldn't.
I think
everyone
knows he said it enough why he won.
Oakland, we just got done talking about Derek Carr possibly being the future for them. But, I mean, they have picks. They have assets they could give away. That would be interesting. And what was the last one?
Bears. Duh, Bears.
Yeah. I mean, that would actually be insane. The Bears haven't had a quarterback. I can't even name you a single good Bears quarterback ever.
Jay Cutler.
I was about to say besides the GOAT, Jay Cutler, but he wasn't even good.
Yeah, he was only good awesome. On television.
He was just awesome. And obviously Rex Grossman led them to a Super Bowl loss, but no, that was Devin Hester. But yeah,
True.
Russell Wilson trade talks. Don't want to spend too much time on it just because there's not a ton there. We don't know a lot.
It's just news. Yeah.
It's just news. But we'll keep an eye on it. We'll keep y'all updated. But now we're done with NFL. We're transitioning on to NBA now. There's a couple big headlines this week. Not in terms of individual players or anything, but in terms of organizations. We have a couple teams a team on a losing streak and a team on a winning streak. We'll start off with the grand losers of the week, the LA Lakers. this podcast's darling team, kind of.
Absolutely.
Kind of.
2/3.
2/3.
Yeah, yikes.
The Lakers, guys, this is what? Talk to me, Austin. Talk to me.
Splitting 5-5 in their last 10 games, like, it's not terrible, but 3 of those losses are like bad losses. Heat, Wizards, and then 25 points to the Jazz on Wednesday night. Like, the Heat and the Wizards, okay, it's the NBA. Sometimes the better team just gets destroyed, but 25 to the Jazz,
And
25.
that was after us talking last week about how the Jazz have no shot against the
I know.
Lakers.
And I get
Yes,
it.
they
Like, they're
don't.
trying to figure out how to play without AD for right now, and that's like half their team is just gone, and LeBron's not really trying like his hardest because it's the regular season, and we all know it's playoff LeBron at this point. Like, that's where he gives his everything, and that's where we see the best LeBron. But I mean, regular season half trying LeBron is still better than 75% of the players in the league. So maybe 90%. But
Well, and the current MVP favorite.
Is he still?
Mm-hmm.
Even after this skid, or whatever you want to call it?
He should still be, yeah.
But I mean, as a diehard LeBron fan, it's easy for me to say that the Lakers aren't in trouble, just because obviously I don't want to believe it. It's the last thing I ever want to believe. But like, if I really look at it head on, like at this point in LeBron's career, he's old. Obviously, he's still great. We saw him last postseason, but I never thought I'd say this. I don't know if this is gonna be a hot take or not, but it almost seems like he needs someone like AD on his side to take attention away from other people, to let LeBron play his game, obviously, facilitator. And someone like AD is the ultimate person to facilitate too. But it almost seems like, and y'all can tell me if this is a hot take or not, that AD is a must to be 100% healthy, to be the AD we know, if they want to have a chance to come out of the West.
Well, I'm not going to disagree with that at all because, a lot of them beating these better teams is contingent on having both of their superstars.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have the benefit of having 3 or 4 superstars like some of the other teams, stars, 3 or 4 top players to be able to take a hit if one of them gets hurt, as AD has. And, we've seen them come back down to earth a little bit after seemingly being untouchable pretty much from the start of the bubble until about 2 weeks ago. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, who's the third best player on that team? Dennis Schroeder?
Yeah, I mean, it's Schroeder, Harrell, and Marc Gasol, who's not quite what he used to be, but he's still a calming presence.
The third option, like a lot of other teams have people that have potential to take over games, doesn't really seem realistic for the Lakers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I mean, who was their third best player when they just won the title? Rondo, Caruso, JaVale McGee.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, in the playoffs, it's playoff Rondo, obviously, but
they did get better all around, and as soon as AD gets healthy, I mean, they could still win 2 playoff series without him for all we know.
Yeah,
because it just
but
goes like that when you have.
That's all on contingent of what seed they get. If they're middle of the pack, if they're playing, like the 4 seed,
if they're the 4 seed, they get the Blazers round 1. We saw what they did to the Blazers after that first game fluke last year.
Mm-hmm.
And then, whoop-de-doo, you get the Jazz in round 2. I mean, they're the 1 seed, and you won't have home court. But are you really that scared of the Jazz? I don't think so, even though they just lost.
Apparently you are if you don't have AD.
Yeah, which, seems apparent at this point, but it all changes when we get to the playoffs.
Yep, and I guess we can't really speculate until we know the full extent of AD's injury. I mean, which we're pretty sure he's going to be able to come back 110%.
Yeah.
But we'll see what happens with that team. Obviously, another thing to keep close eyes on. But opposite side of the spectrum, we have a team that seemed to be terrible, the Washington Wizards, all of a sudden on a winning streak. 5 of the last 6 and only 2.5 games behind the 8 seed. Could they potentially keep winning and make the playoffs?
I hope not.
Why?
I just it's so laughable to say, but I just for some reason have this thing where it's like if Russell Westbrook makes the playoffs, I'm just sad because I know they're just destined to lose in the first round. And all I can see in my head is Dame just waving bye to the Thunder after the buzzer beater where he sent them
Mhm.
home. Like that to me is Russell Westbrook. That's his legacy. Like now,
Well, they
no
they lost to the
KD.
Jazz the other year they had Paul George in the
Yeah,
first round.
couldn't do it with KD. Couldn't do it with Paul George. Couldn't do it with James Harden. It's like, please don't ruin Bradley Beal now, please.
Well, Bradley Beal's never had anything, and Bradley Beal will never have anything unless he gets traded. Which
Right.
now they're winning. Who knows if he's going to get traded?
That's
especially with
exactly what I was
some big
thinking.
wins in those 5 in the
Yeah, I think the
past
last
10
time
days.
I've felt like I just wanted to see a team lose was like 2015 Cleveland Cavaliers when Kyrie and LeBron and Kevin Love were still together. This is the first time I felt that way where it's like, please just lose so you can trade Russell Westbrook and you can trade Bradley Beal. You can get Westbrook to a situation where it's just even worse and you put Beal in a situation where it's even better and you rebuild. You get like 20 first round picks for those two guys and you
Yeah,
rebuild.
you probably can.
I
Yeah,
mean,
well,
Beal alone is going to be 3/4 of those because he is a stud.
Exactly. And nothing to me sticks out about the Wizards other than that time that John Wall nailed Marcin Gortat in the face with a basketball. That's literally
Guys,
the only thing I know about the Wizards in their
guys, I
entire
love John
program.
Wall. I
I
feel so
also
bad
love
for
John.
him. His career is going to amount to nothing, but for all we know, he could be Hall of Fame because Kyle Lowry is.
No, he's literally Hall of Fame.
John
If
Wall
Kyle
is.
Lowry
I'm
is,
calling
then
it
I
right
think
now.
I could
John
go to the
Wall
NBA
is
and
in
be
the
Hall
Hall
of
of Fame.
Fame.
I think so too. You get lucky, win a title, be an all-star because your team
He
was
was
good
going to be
once.
Hall of Fame before they won the title.
Yeah, which is unreal. But now he's a lock.
He's a lock, and he's not good. I mean, he's good, but
Well,
like he's not Hall of Fame. When you think of Hall of Fame, you think of best of the best ever. And if
yeah.
you look at Kyle Lowry, he's not even close to the best of the best ever.
No, he's never. I mean, I wouldn't have
He just got a
probably at any
thicky.
point said he's top 5 guard in the league.
No,
Definitely
not
not.
close.
That's actually really interesting to think about the Hall of Fame situation. Let us know in the comments or in conversation if you want us to talk about is the Hall of Fame too easy in the NBA
Mm-hmm.
and maybe in a future episode.
Yeah, or maybe the flip side. Maybe baseball and football are way too hard on their Hall. Like maybe more players deserve credit, more players deserve spot, and more players should be the word that I love, immortalized.
Immortalized, shrined forever in Canton.
In Canton,
But that
Ohio, baby.
Canton, Ohio. But enough, I guess, about Hall of Fame. But yeah, it's an interesting question you proposed, Carson. If the Wizards should keep Bradley Beal if they keep on winning.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, logically, you would say, of course they're going to keep him if they keep winning. But who knows what happens in today's NBA? Maybe he still wants to go on. Maybe he still gets traded.
Yeah, and this is all speculation. We're unqualified.
We're
But
very
hey,
unqualified.
they did beat both the Nuggets and the Lakers in the past
Congratulations,
week.
Wizards.
Which, hey, congratulations, Wizards.
Proud.
Not
I
only are you
refrain.
beating good teams, you're beating good West teams, which is like beating college teams when you're in high school at this point, when we compare the West and the East. Because the East is awful. The East is awful, but hey, they're still going to have the same amount of All Stars as the West is.
They are.
True. So
So
And
maybe
guys,
we should
yeah, go
look at
ahead,
that a
Carson.
little bit.
yeah, so
Yeah.
every year there's there's this conversation that starts about the All-Star game where someone is not happy about someone not getting in, right? And usually there's a list of 3 or 4 guys that probably deserved it that didn't get it, and we've each chosen one that we think is our All-Star snub. So Bryce, who you got?
Guys, it's time for the All-Star Snub segment. And I'm going to lead off with my boy, De'Aaron Fox.
Kentucky
Guys,
man.
he's averaging a career high 22.5 points up to this point in the season, which completely blew me out of the water. I had no idea he was averaging 22. Super under the radar. But not even subjectively, he's the fastest person in NBA. I'm going to say NBA history besides maybe prime John Wall. I mean, he's so much fun to watch. He's super likable, but the one thing that's keeping him from getting in the All-Star game is the Kings are so bad. If he was on any winning team ever getting the recognition that some of these other people are getting, he's an All-Star in a heartbeat. All it takes is to, be part of a brand. Good basketball plus being part of a brand that succeeds and gets notoriety, that's equal to an All-Star appearance. And I feel so bad for my man De'Aaron Fox, because if he's in Sacramento, unless White Chocolate comes back or something, and Zebo, then they're stuck at the bottom of the barrel for forever.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't really know if De'Aaron Fox is someone you can like put a franchise load on their shoulders and expect success, but I think he's a very, very, very good basketball player, and he's probably Hall of Fame.
Probably at this point.
Yeah,
Kyle Lowry is.
Kyle Lowry.
Yeah.
Unless he wants to
give me De'Aaron Fox over Kyle Lowry right now. Not even close.
I mean, honestly.
So that's my guy, De'Aaron Fox. I'm sorry, buddy. Next year you're getting All-Star. You're getting the All-Star weekend, and I'll be here to say, told you so.
Congratulations, De'Aaron Fox, on making next
Congrats on your
Congratulations,
All-Star
De'Aaron
appearance
Fox.
next year.
On your
2022.
next year's 2022 All-Star.
Congratulations.
Popcorn, Austin.
So the guy that I've got is also a guard, but he's in the East, and he plays for a team that used to belong to Kyle Korver. So I chose Trae Young, the Atlanta Hawks, and Trae Young is averaging almost 29 points a game. I think it's like 28.6 or 9 or something like that. 4 rebounds, which for someone as small and frail as he is, kind of surprised me. And then 9.9, so 10 assists. And I'm going to echo something that Bryce said. Honestly, Trae Young is like less exciting Steph Curry, right? And Steph Curry has been an all-star for how many consecutive years that he's been healthy? And the stats
25.
look at the stats. How much different are his stats from Steph Curry's stats, right? So they're basically the same player. One's just a bigger name, obviously, and one plays on the Warriors and one plays on the Hawks. And who is thinking about the Atlanta Hawks? 4 times.
I know I'm not. My hand is not raised.
Exactly.
Quavo.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Quavo.
But it's like, I think Trae Young brings that, that just fun aspect that the All-Star game looks for. But it's just the fact that he's in Atlanta that's holding him back, because the stats are there. True shooting percentage of 61.9% this season, really high. I think the highest in the league, for a guard at least. So, yeah, it's just the same thing. Small market team, kind of holding him back. So.
And maybe a little rebuttal to that. While their offensive game is the same, Trae Young is,
I'm pretty sure, still the worst defensive guard in the league.
It's fair.
Has been since he joined the Hawks. Well, since he was drafted. But quick note on the Hawks: they're 14-18, but they're only 2 games behind the 4 seed in the East. Maybe Ice Trae can dish it and shoot some 45-foot threes, shoot some threes from the logo, win them a couple games, and then boom, next thing you know, they're the 4 seed in the East.
And that's it.
There's going to be so
And that
many
just-
under 500 teams make it out of the East.
And
It's
that
so
just goes
sad, dude.
right back to how much better the West is this year.
Yeah.
But
And every year.
with that being said, my snub's also going to be from the East because you know why? It's just the way the world works. But my snub is the third best player on the best team in the East, Tobias Harris, of course. You know, I'm sure if I said Philadelphia 76ers, you'd probably think I was talking about Seth Curry. I know, I love him, and he's living up to the hype. But Tobias Harris, I mean, we've all seen the shot chart. He's a beast. He can score from anywhere on the floor. And honestly, I think the 76ers deserve 3 All-Stars. I also think the Jazz deserved 3 All-Stars. But it's just hard to give these teams All-Stars when you're giving such high regard to players on awful teams like Luka Doncic. But
I mean, the Mavericks weren't supposed to be terrible, though.
yeah, no, they're not supposed to be terrible, and they are terrible. And Luka's still putting up numbers, and he's still just getting praise. Like,
But he's not even
he has
MVP
been.
talk. I mean, obviously, he's an all-star, but
Yeah. Well, more emphasis should be on winning. Like whichever year it was, I think it was 2015 when the Hawks were the best team in the East and had 4 All-Stars. I think 4 of them started too,
Yeah, it was something crazy like that.
with Jeff Teague, Korver, Al Horford, and Paul
Millsap.
Millsap.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that it should look a little more like that. I think they need to give credit because this is a big spotlight, and of course, everybody loves seeing all the big names on the same stage. But I think this is when you give credit to the best teams, the best players, and I think the Sixers are the best team in the East. That's why I think they deserve 3 All-Stars. Therefore, Tobias Harris is my biggest snub.
well, there you have it, guys. 3 people that should make the all-star team, but will make it next year. Congratulations on your
Congratulations
2022
all.
all-star appearance, everyone.
Yes, congratulations.
But we know most of our viewers are from North Carolina. So let's give a little bit of a local highlight. Guys, it's time for the inaugural Hornets highlight segment.
Buzz.
The buzz. Guys, the Hornets are kind of, dare I say it, good.
Yeah, I am really glad I'm not active on Twitter because if I tweeted everything I said, like some people do, then I would have tweeted, yes, thank you, Charlotte, for taking the Celtics garbage, Gordon Hayward and Terry Rozier. And I'm really glad that I didn't say that or tweet that because they're kind of
guys,
popping off.
I never thought Scary Terry would actually, at this point in time, literally now, be worth the money they're paying him.
Yeah.
He's averaging 20 points a game, basically on the dot, like 20 and a half. So I guess not on the dot at all. And then shooting 50% from the field. And guys, 44% from 3. And right now, sitting down, I'm doing Scary Terry's 3-point celebration. The sweet finger thing. And he's hitting clutch buckets too. I love him. And you have to love him if you're a Hornets fan right now. Even if you didn't when they first signed him.
Yeah, and
absolutely.
I mean, it looks like a better sign now than it did at the time. I know I was one of the people who thought it would just come out to be a bust, come out to be a waste of money.
Me too.
But hey, congratulations to Terry Rozier. But I think they've done a lot of things right. I think Gordon Hayward has blown every single person's expectations away. He's looked like his old self, dare I say that. And then getting the best season from Terry Rozier and the lightning bolt that is LaMelo Ball. I think that all culminates together into the season where they're right now they're the 8th seed, I do believe,
7.
tied for 7th. And being the 8th seed in the East right now means you're like a half game behind first or second probably. So it's to the point where these moves that they've made didn't look good at the time, but now it's coming together and they're starting to look better in hindsight as they're paying off. They're reaping the rewards this season for the deals, for the Terry Rozier deal they made last year, and then now Gordon Hayward comes in and he looks good all of a sudden after sitting on the bench and coming off the bench for the Boston Celtics.
Guys, I'm just going to put something in perspective for everybody. The 4 seed and the 11 seed in the East is separated by 2 games.
It's a wild time
Yeah.
in the East.
It's
It's a
wild
wild time.
2 games.
Yeah. And there are currently 3 teams in the East above 3.
Above 500. Yeah.
Yep.
Bucks, Nets, and 76ers.
That is unreal. Say it again.
Honestly,
Unreal.
real.
Rear.
I want to see them
But 3
all
teams.
end under 500. It's not possible, but please let it happen.
But that for teams like Charlotte, that definitely gives you hope. Like, you do not have to be a 500 basketball team and you're in the playoffs. Like, that they're sitting there thinking we haven't played our best basketball and we're still in
yes,
a good
but
position.
also you have to have some sort of consistency looking at, 2 games separating the 4 and 11 seed. You have to win games still. Because if you lose games and someone else wins, if two other teams win a game, you're out of the playoffs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Losing feels
So-
more impactful than usual.
Winning means everything right
Yeah.
now. I mean, of course you can't afford to lose games because these teams are under 500, but winning feels so good right now for the Hornets. And Scary Terry, LaMelo, they're hitting some very clutch shots right now, and that's a good sign. If you can win at the end of games, you're setting yourself up for success.
And final note with the Hornets, I love LaMelo.
Carson loves LaMelo.
Best ball brother.
Best
He
ball
is.
brother.
He is best ball brother. We've talked about that before. And hey, congratulations to LaMelo Ball for being a 2022 NBA All-Star.
Congratulations.
We're proud of you.
Hey,
Proud of you, LaMelo.
congratulations. We're proud of you. At still 17 years old, probably.
Mhm.
Probably.
Maybe younger. But in other news in the sporting world today, outside of the 3 major sports we cover, NFL, NBA, and MLB, everybody's heard about it. So we want to acknowledge it, and obviously T's and P's to him. To Tiger Woods,
Peace and peace.
very bad car crash. We don't really know the full extent of it yet. So there's a lot of speculation online to what exactly happened. We know he had surgery, and we know it's all in all, obviously you're getting surgery. Things are not good. And so obviously we feel terrible for that, but some questions do arise from that in terms of Tiger Woods' pro career. So I'm going to frame this question to you two, Carson and Austin. Like, given what we know now, obviously not a ton, but we do know some things. With Tiger Woods' injury that just happened, do y'all foresee him playing any more golf anytime soon or ever?
Carson, how do you feel
I don't
about
have
3-2-1ing this?
I don't have a clue what that means.
It means you count
Right.
down from 3,
And we
then
both say yes or no.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can do this.
All right, Bryce.
all right, I'll count us down. 3, 2, 1.
Yes.
Yes. I don't
Carson,
remember what I was saying yes to.
you
Was
were
I
so
saying yes
late.
to him playing golf?
Yes.
Yes, he's definitely going to keep playing golf.
Okay.
And I can give you one absolutely solid reason. And it's because every single year at the Masters, they have the 85-year-old golfers come out and tee off the first shot. And if they can do that, he can do it on no legs. He could get them both amputated and still be fine. But hey, he's going to come back. They're maybe going to be repaired. But what I've been thinking, of course it's a horrible accident. You never want anyone to go through that. Absolute thoughts and prayers, T's and P's to him. But this is giving him time to recover. He's had a lot of back injuries. Obviously, it's going to be super extensive rehab, but I think it's going to be a long battle uphill. But it's kind of like a fresh start because he's had a lot of injuries and he's played through them and he's had to nurse them and come back not 100%. But he's not going to be able to come back at 95% from this. he's going to have to be 100%
Yeah.
with just the extent of everything that we've seen. And I
I
think
mean,
he's going
what
to come back. It's going to be over 15 months probably.
but the thing is, like, what I'm skeptical about is he's 45 years old. It's hard to
Mhm.
bounce back from something. I mean, if we're looking at a 15-month recovery time,
Mhm.
46 and a half years old probably. I don't know. I mean, there's a time for everybody to hang him up. Obviously, I'm not gonna put any thoughts or words in Tiger Woods' mouth, but I'm skeptical about it.
Yeah, I think that he's come back from other stuff in his past, like all of the drama and I'm sure mental health issues that came with all the drama before. Um, he came back from that, but obviously this is a completely different beast. And
Mhm.
like we've already said, you never want this to happen to anyone,
Mhm.
but we hope that he comes back, maybe makes one last splash, and then he hangs up his putter and does something else and continues to just be the Tiger Woods that we love. So,
I mean, yeah, he's always gonna be a face, always gonna be a name, regardless if he plays golf anymore.
exactly.
Yeah,
But
of course.
get
I
well,
mean,
Tiger Woods.
he's definitely, and last probably note on this, he's without a doubt one of the two or three athletes, I think, along with LeBron James, that is, and Tom Brady, that are going to absolutely define this generation.
Mhm.
And
100%.
he's also got what, like $1 trillion contract from Nike at least.
Probably.
And he's getting older, but also he's already defied everything that everyone was saying when he won the Masters last year anyway.
Mhm.
So he can definitely come back, and I think he's got that drive still, and I think it's not going to go away because he is Tiger Woods.
He's Tiger Woods, baby. We'll see what's in his future, probably in the next few months. But this is our next segment, MLB. This is the Carson and Austin specialty segment. I don't really contribute much in MLB terms, but I don't even know what our first point means. But service time manipulation, guys, dive into it and explain it.
Yeah,
Because what in the world is that?
yeah, I'll introduce it a little bit. So basically, what happens is it's a lot different from the NBA. A player comes in and they have a 2-year contract and a 2-year option. But with baseball, a player comes in and they have 6 years of control when they get called up. So what teams do is at the beginning of a season, they'll keep their good players that are really young, usually these guys that are 23 or 24 years old. They'll keep them in the minors for the first 2.5 weeks. It's 15 days, I do believe, that they have to stay down. They keep them in the minors for the first 2.5 or 3 weeks, and then they get an extra year of team control because that doesn't count as a full year of service time. So, and it's come out recently with the former Mariners president making comments about this, but everyone has known that it's happened for a while, and there's been some very, very notable examples recently. But there were also some exceptions, like some teams have gone away from it, and we saw our friend of the show, Fernando Tatis, just being brought up first day of the season. They said, we don't care about that. He's
Mhm.
he's the best player in our organization at this position, and we're going to play him. Like, they instead, other organizations are saying, we'd rather have control. We'd rather do what's best for the money rather than start the best player in our organization at this position on day one, which is a big problem.
Yeah, and it makes me it's so bizarre, right? Because I feel like most people, even people that watch baseball, don't know about this. And it's like I'll use an example from like a sports video game, right? Whenever you play Madden
Mm-hmm.
and you go into the off season and you sign you sign a player for a 4-year, $100 million contract, right? You know exactly what you've got. But I feel like most people, they take that kind of mentality about contracts, and especially because that's what we get whenever we see like contract signings from MLB reporters. It's like 10 years, $180 trillion for Bryce Harper, right? We see that,
Bryce
but we
Turner.
don't get the information about stuff like this. And I can't name another sport that has anything like this. And
Yeah.
I don't know why like it started or like what the purpose was initially, but it is so strange, and I think it's asking too much just to do away with the whole arbitration system, but I think they should probably explore lowering it from 6 years.
Yeah, I definitely think that's a good starting point. Right now, for players that first come up into the major leagues, the average age is 24, which would put them into their 30s when they're negotiating their first true free agent contract,
Gosh.
which is, as we all know, not the athletic prime, and especially baseball has been trending younger in the recent years. But at 24 years old, coming in as a rookie, and you're going to be making what, $500,000 or whatever it is. But yeah, if they could lower that, we'll see a lot of change. But right now, a lot of people are unhappy about it, and I don't necessarily. It's very weird, and it seems like just more organizational control, which is what they want. Like, they want the guys with the money to be able to control as much as humanly possible.
Yeah, lowering the arbitration period to 4 years, I think, is a good start, and then doing something about the minors, because it used to be so simple as like single A, double A, triple A, and now we've got like a fourth part of the minors that's being added, and it's taking away like some of the money that would go. And it's making the whole system so weird, and it honestly seems like it's a really money hungry system, kind of like you've already said, and it just does not go well for the MLB, a sport that, even though we love it, is not what it used to be in popularity. It's not fast. It's not flashy most of the time. It's hard to watch on TV for a lot of people.
Mhm.
So it is not a sport that can afford to have a bad reputation as well, or it'll trend downward, much like our favorite NASCAR. So
Yeah, and
I hate Kyle
you know,
Busch, by the way.
whether it be on the decline or not, I'm not gonna necessarily comment on that. I love it more than anything. It's definitely a sport for the statistically minded. But you said flashy, you said fast, you said exciting, and a team that has all of that is the Chicago White Sox.
What a transition right there.
Beautiful.
you
I
don't know.
love the Chicago White Sox. They're a very, very fun team. They're not the only team in Chicago, but right now they're the best team in Chicago. And they just hired a 150-year-old man to be manager, Tony La Russa. He hasn't been a manager in 10 years. But hey, the White Sox are looking good, and they're going to be exciting.
Yeah, you don't know how excited and how happy I am to see Dallas Keuchel on a winning team and looking to play well. That's so exciting to me. And
Yeah.
their additions in the bullpen and in the pitching rotation this offseason with Liam Hendricks and Lance Lynn, those are, I think, excellent additions that are going to make this team go from, they're flashy and they're good, to holy crap, the Cubs are the new Knicks. They are no longer the best team in their city, and they are no longer the most loved team in their city. And
So,
it might
Austin,
be
let me
another
let me
150
ask you this.
years.
So this is the White Sox reached the playoffs for the first time since 2008 last year. It's been a while, right? So coming off 1 year after making the playoffs in what seems like forever, do you feel like it's championship, World Series, or bust for them?
I don't think it's bust maybe in this first year, but definitely while they've
Okay.
got a lot of these pieces that they've got under contract. because it's not sustainable, right? There's a lot of big names, and there's some young guys that are coming up, like the DH, Andrew Vaughn, and then can't remember if he's a shortstop or a third baseman, Carson, but Jan Moncada, I think is his name. I don't remember
Yeah.
what he is in the infield, but two young guys that are gonna get paid eventually. You know, they're gonna be looking to make money at some point. It's not sustainable for more than, I'd say, 5 or 6 years. So in that window, you need to win a championship. So
Yeah, and
Yeah.
they have the young guys, including one of the most exciting players in baseball, Tim Anderson. Just had to mention his name. Love him to death. But you've seen recently teams bring up all this talent. They trade out a lot. They suck for a couple years. They bring up a lot of young talent. The young talent gets good, and then they spend all their money on good older players, and it's just a perfect storm. And I think we're going to see that with the White Sox the next couple years. They've got a window of maybe 3 or 4 years to go out and win a World Series, and I think that they've got a shot to do it.
100% agree. The conference and the division are wide open. So
Yep, that's our highlight baseball team that we're really looking at as we
Go
come
White
up on the
Sox.
stars.
I guess that's a team that I can start looking out for. Start my baseball career, you guys. Go White Sox.
Hey,
Congratulations on your
look on White
2022,
Sox
2021, 2022. I don't know when the
2021
World Series is, but they're winning it one of those 2 years.
this year.
both.
But guys, it's time for the Bryce Turner trivia question of the week.
I cannot wait.
Drum roll.
Okay, so I have 2 prepared. Do you want trivia question A or trivia question B?
B.
C.
I don't know what to do. Okay, I'm picking one.
B.5.
In the last 50 years, only one quarterback has started 50 plus games and not thrown a pick six. Who is it?
Oh, I actually know the answer to this.
Wait,
So I'll
that's
let
actually
Austin.
kind of crazy. 50 starts,
If you
no
do,
pick six, right?
if you do know it, I can go to trivia question 2, Carson. Which
I would like trivia question 2 for myself.
okay,
Because after I
Austin,
spoil this one, I want Austin to guess it.
you have trivia question A. Carson, you have trivia question B. Which NFL coach has the best postseason record ever
Of
in terms of winning percentage?
course.
I feel like because I get the pick six question, right?
Yeah.
I
Give
feel
me
like
your best shot.
I have 2, and both of them are young, so I'll go the one that I think is wrong, and then I'll say the one that I think is right.
Okay.
But I think my real guess is going to be the one that I think is wrong. So my wrong guess is Mitch Trubisky. My right guess is
Bing,
Sam
bing, bing,
Darn.
bing,
Wait,
bing, bing, bing,
okay.
bing, bing.
Ding 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 ding.
I'm smarter than
Mitch
I thought.
Trubisky has never thrown a pick six.
I was
Wild.
between him and Sam Darnold, but I couldn't remember because I feel like I've seen Sam Darnold throw a pick six. But I was like, Mitchell Trubisky is so bad.
I mean,
He's
he's
definitely
only
thrown a
been
pick six.
yeah, terrible. Carson,
But never a pick six. Wow.
NFL coach with best postseason record.
Yeah, I don't necessarily have a great guess. Obviously the one that comes to mind is Belichick, but he had years before Brady, and even then they made it to the playoffs every year. So I don't think a team that makes it to the playoffs every year, even though 12 out of 15, I don't think that would still get him the best record. So I'm going to go with a coach who I know won 2 Super Bowls and who I know obviously didn't lose in those postseasons. And I don't remember in any other postseasons. I'm going to say Tom Coughlin.
That's a pretty good guess. But the coach with the best postseason record is Barry Switzer at 5-2. He won 2 Super Bowls with the Cowboys from 94 to 96.
Wow.
So honestly, that was a shock to me. In second place, we have Jimmy Johnson with a 71% win percentage. Then Bill Belichick with 69. Nice. And then Chuck Noll with 69. No, wait. I said that wrong. Bill Belichick and Chuck Noll both 69. And Jimmy, or I said that wrong again. Guys, third time's the charm. Here we go.
You
Jimmy
got it. You got
Johnson,
it.
69, nice. Bill Belichick, 68.7, basically 69, nice. And Chuck Noll, 66.7.
Mm-hmm.
So that's your top
Wow.
4. And now, Carson,
Congratulations.
time for the hook and picks of the week.
Hook 'em picks of the week, and it's an exciting week this week. We've got a really big fight Saturday night, which I'm actually just going to go ahead and pick first. For those of you who don't know, it's a big heavyweight fight. We've had a ton of heavyweight fights the past month, but it's been really good getting a lot of spotlight for the guys that are towards the top of the division. But we've got Jairzinho Rosenstrike and Cyril Gane. Gane's the favorite right now, and I'm not exactly sure why. Rosenstrike has beat everybody except Francis Ngannou, who is probably unbeatable.
Probably.
So I'm going with Rosenstrike, and if I had to make a guess, I'm gonna say he's gonna knock him out 1:08 in the first round.
Jeez,
Oh, wow.
So
quick.
we're going Hook 'em Rosenstrike Saturday
Hook
night.
'em.
Hook 'em.
Hook 'em. And we're going to time travel a little bit to earlier Saturday. We've got number 14 Texas at number 18 Texas Tech in what I think is a battle between the two best coaches in the Big 12. Don't at me at that. But we've
Okay,
got
well.
Shaka Smart and the Texas Longhorns, Hook 'em Longhorns, but we're not a Hook 'em show. And then Chris Beard and the Texas Tech Red Raiders. And I'm saying Hook 'em Longhorns, which kind of sounds weird because that's how it's supposed to sound.
Is this
But
the
hook 'em,
first
baby.
Hook 'em on Hook 'em?
I
Little-
think
Hook 'em
it
on
is.
Hook 'em,
This is
baby.
this is a very, very special day. We're actually saying Hook 'em Longhorns, but
Hook 'em horns.
we'd just like to say we're unqualified and we're not Texas fans. But
Hook
hook
'em
'em,
Vince Young. Hook 'em Shaka Smart.
hook 'em,
Hook 'em
Shaka
Colt
Smart,
McCoy.
baby.
Hook 'em Colt McCoy.
Hook 'em Colt, hook 'em Colt McCoy, and then the big NBA matchup. Not necessarily a big NBA matchup, but my favorite for this next upcoming week. On next Tuesday, we have the Suns at the Lakers. The Suns have been getting a lot of publicity with Devin Booker initially being snubbed. He's now in the All-Star game, but Chris Paul and Devin Booker both All-Stars, and I think they're going to go into LA. They're going to go into LA with a lot of swagger. They're going to go into LA confident, but LA's been on a losing streak. LeBron's going to be mad. Hook 'em LeBron, hook 'em Lakers. They're probably not going to lose again for the rest of the season. So
Hook 'em
congratulations
LeBron.
to the
Enough
Lakers.
said.
Hook 'em
Enough
out.
said. Hook 'em LeBron.
Thank you for the hook and picks of the week, Carson. Hopefully you can get 3 for 3. Have you been 3 for 3 yet?
I have not yet.
Okay, well, this week's the week, so we're looking forward to it.
This is the week.
But
Guaranteed.
guys,
Hook 'em
now
Carson.
it's time for top 3. We have a very interesting and very abstract one. Top 3 dog movies. Austin, start us off.
So, one of the few movies to ever have 100% on Rotten Tomatoes, and I don't like Rotten Tomatoes, let it be known, public record. Old Yeller, just a tear-jerker at times, but a movie that just makes you smile because it's a cute dog. So, gotta go Old Yeller. Love the book whenever I was, like, in middle school, even though it's probably a children's book. And I wanted to stay away from this movie because it felt pretty cliche, but I think it's just the pinnacle of dog movies. Air Bud, it's just amazing. They made like 45 of them, I'm pretty sure, after the original one.
Close to it.
And honestly, if Air Bud didn't win MVP at any point, I don't know. They should just
guys, it's not in the rules that he can't play because he's a dog.
True. They should honestly put him in Space
It's not.
Jam. So,
Hey, hook 'em Air Bud.
Hook 'em Air Bud. And my third movie is technically not a solo dog movie. It's a pet movie, but the main character is a dog. So, Secret Life of Pets. It's a pretty recent one. I enjoyed it. I thought it was hilarious, especially the scene where they're talking to the older pet. And it's like, how you doing, old timer? And he just says, paralyzed. I think that's hilarious.
That is
So-
awesome.
This is in my top 3.
Wow, I haven't seen that. Hopefully, you're recommending it to me right now, right?
Yes. Hook 'em Secret Life of Pets. Hook
Hey,
'em
Hook 'em Secret Life of
Paralyzed.
Pet. Hook 'em Paralyzed. Bryce, who's in your top 3 over there?
Yeah, this is in no particular order, but at number 3, we have a classic that I think everybody watched as a kid. Scooby-Doo's Cyber Chase.
Ooh.
True.
It has to be my favorite. I'm not a Scooby-Doo fanatic like Carson, but in terms of Scooby-Doo movies, this is it for me. I love it. I probably could fill the whole thing up with Scooby-Doo movies, but I'm not going to do that. But number 2, we have Bolt. I remember seeing it in theaters, sitting front row for some reason, with my neck just cranked up to the freaking projector and my bucket of popcorn with a ton of other kids there. But I just remember the one scene where she says "Bolt speak," and then just a sonic wave of I don't even know comes out of his mouth and completely demolishes everything in its path. And I thought that was the coolest thing of all time. But won't give any spoilers except this one. But he doesn't have powers the whole time. That's a huge spoiler. But
That's the only spoiler.
and then number 3, I'm bending the rules big time here. But we have Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban.
Okay.
Because Sirius Black is a dog. He can shapeshift.
All right, we have to check our rule book for top 3.
We're
And,
unqualified,
it
so our
doesn't- it
rules are
doesn't say-
unqualified.
It doesn't say you can't do it, so I guess you can.
Just like
Airbud
Airbud,
rules.
baby.
Yep.
That's the Airbud rules. But yeah, Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, that's a really good one. We get introduced to Dementors in that movie, and it's pretty awesome. Hook 'em Sirius Black.
And Hook'em dog movies. What a big win for dog movies. I did not know that was qualified as a dog movie. But
It
hey,
is.
Hook'em, Harry Potter, and the Prisoner of Azkaban. Congratulations for being in Bryce's top 3.
3.
Top 3 where all 3 I think were numbered number 3, but we won't talk about that. But for my for my top 3, I'm gonna go 3, 2, 1 like it should be. For 3, I'm gonna copy a little bit because I remember seeing it in theaters as well. Bolt, which is turning 13 years old this year, which does not seem real. That does not seem like it's 13 years old.
That's crazy.
I remember seeing it in theaters, and I swear, have not watched it fully again because I was so disappointed when you find out he doesn't actually have powers.
Wow.
And I really like the movie. It's a weird movie, but that's because it's unique. And Bolt is like a really iconic, I think, dog in movies, and we're calling it lore
And
now.
on my iPod 1, iPod Touch 1, I had a game where you were that gerbil in the movie in the ball, and you had to run across the street without getting hit, kind of like Frogger,
my
except
gosh.
Except
him.
awesome.
Except Bolt
Hamster. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, Bolt Hamster. All right, number 2 dog movies. I'm gonna go with one of my favorite movies as a kid, but I more so just remember it as like reading the kids' books. But of course, 101 Dalmatians. There's how many Dalmatians are there's like at least 100. There's
Maybe
at least
even-
100 of them.
Yeah, maybe even
Yeah, maybe
one
even
more.
How many? Yeah, maybe
Could be
even
one more than that.
101. But I always thought those movies were really, really good. They're really, they're really well made. Even like the bad cartoon versions, or quote unquote bad. Those are technically the better ones. But I always liked those movies as a kid, so I'm keeping them at number 2. And number 1, I think Scooby-Doo is breaking the rules, and of course my top 20 would be all Scooby-Doo movies. So I only limited myself to 1. And I thought this would be my chance to get it out there that Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island is the greatest movie ever made, regardless of category. And, therefore, it is the greatest dog movie of all time. So I have to have it as my number 1. But we could have any sort of movies, any style of movie, and I would bring this up. I think it's the greatest movie ever made. Please at me. Please argue with me. Please call me, because I will argue until the day that I die. They're not in that movie. But it is a perfect movie.
I don't know,
Well,
Carson.
it would be perfect if the Hex Girls were in it,
Yeah. Or if it was the live action Scooby Doo.
or if it was live
Okay,
action.
now you're just disrespecting me. Get out of here.
But guys, thanks for sharing your top 3 dog movies. We're gonna run through a fun fact this week in sports. Everybody's favorite NBA 100-point game Wilt Chamberlain scored 100 points on March 2nd, 1962. Obviously an achievement that no one's come close to besides Kobe Bryant scoring 81, but that's as close as we're probably ever going to get to it. Congratulations, Wilt
Zion.
Chamberlain, 100 points.
Hey, hook 'em Wilt Chamberlain. Congratulations.
Hook 'em.
Absolutely.
Philadelphia
And
Warriors.
today, to end the show, we have a what if segment. Guys, the greatest what if in sports history.
By
We're
far.
we're kind of on an NBA kick this week. What if the NBA did not intervene and Chris Paul was sent to the Los Angeles Lakers?
I would like to take this first, Austin,
Yeah.
Go for
because
it.
this is something I'm a little bit passionate about it. Because first of all, how in the world as a commissioner are you going to take a trade and just say no? I think that just shows how absolutely game breaking this would have been. But one thing that's not talked about is that this trade, for those of you who don't know, was December 2011. So the Lakers were done winning their earlier 2 titles.
Mm-hmm.
I do believe this was after the first Miami title. This might have
No,
been after.
no,
It was
they
after
won
the decision.
2012.
This was after their first year in the finals.
Mm-hmm. They lost to the Mavericks.
Yes.
So we were talking about looking at Chris Paul and Kobe Bryant in the finals against LeBron, D Wade, and Chris Bosh for the next 3, 4, 5, who knows, even 10 years. And slippery David Stern just says no. Like, it was Chris Paul to the Lakers. The part that's not talked about is probably what he was fearing was Pau Gasol to the Rockets. He didn't want Pau Gasol on the Rockets for some reason. And then it was 4 players to go back to the Hornets.
It'd be Lamar Odom, Kevin Martin, Louis Scola, and Goran Dragic.
Yeah, and a pick, which is that's 4 players and a pick, 5 players,
Mm-hmm.
just for basically a swap of Chris Paul and Pau Gasol, with a third team involved. But I don't understand how, as a commissioner, you can do that and then expect your league to have integrity.
Yeah.
I think it's just disrespectful, and I think the Lakers would definitely appreciate it. 3 more titles at least?
Well, I mean, you have to go against LeBron, like you said, LeBron, D Wade, and Chris Bosh, the Big Three convention.
Yeah, the Big Three
And
convention that dismantled very soon. And who knows, Chris Paul and Kobe would have still been playing together probably past that.
I mean, yeah, but Kobe was edging towards old by the end of the Big Three.
Yeah.
But I
course.
don't. It would have been very, very competitive finals, and it's something that I think everybody would like to see.
Yeah, we were definitely deprived of that. And who knows, the Warriors dynasty may have never existed if the Lakers were consistently putting them in their place.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing about that is that Chris Paul is one of the easiest players in the league to play with, and he's like known as like the nice guy, but on the court he's super competitive. And then obviously Kobe Bryant is one of the most competitive players we've ever seen, and I think that would have been really interesting to see them like go at it on the court, but then off the court they're 2 of the nicest guys, and they're going to make LA the 100 times happier. They're going to go out and actually give back to the city, but then they're going to be spitting on people when they're on the court.
Yeah.
We were definitely deprived of that.
Yeah, definitely a sad story in the history of the NBA. Glad to have a different commissioner in there. Adam Silver's done a great job reestablishing the integrity of the league. So hook him, Adam Silver. We are
Hook 'em, Adam
definitely
Silver.
fans of him. We all call him the
Boom, boom,
best
boom,
of the
boom, boom, boom.
the best of the best when it comes to the commissioners and the big sports. So
Mm-hmm.
we love Adam Silver. This episode's not dedicated to him, but this episode is over. And we just want to thank you again for coming back, listening to another week of Unqualified Sports Talk. We'll be back with some more unqualified sports talk next week. So, in the words of whoever writes the songs for Nickelodeon, live life, breathe air, and we'll see you next week.